Right now, live nuggets right here on the Classic Morning Show. I'm back here with you. Thursday, 3rd day of October 2024, in the spirit of independence, thinking about Nigeria at 64 and how far we've come. But we cannot kill ourselves. What can we do? We can talk. We can give you the greatest conversations on radio, awesome company and music, as well as have black ivory souls like Angelique Kidjo talked about. We're not going to leave it to just talking outside this country. We've got so much interesting things going on. Without further ado, like I said before, I've got a great guy in the studio today, a friend, a colleague. I'm a fan of his work, and it's just interesting to be able to have him in this capacity. He wears many hats, but Daniel Okosun, actor, writer, broadcaster, producer, voiceover artist, media executive, storyteller, apprentice superhero. I don't know who is the apprentice. You will let us know.
Think of the greatest one amongst them.
Media consultant. He's been on different projects, of course, that can be found on streaming platforms like Netflix and Showmax, as well as African Magic, with more yet to come. My brother, my friend, Daniel Okosun, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's good drum rolls, drum rolls, drum rolls. Good to see you, man.
Eteks in the building.
Yes. So how you doing, man?
Man, I forgot the foundation now.
No problem. It's important to be like that, so because now, the way people they move from the ground, make we claim as much ground as we feel claim.
My brother.
Because wherever you're moving to, trust me, home is where the heart is.
Yes, absolutely.
East or west, home is best. So
absolutely,
wherever you're going to, we full ground.
Yes.
If we travel anywhere around the world, we're still here to make sure that we build this country. If we go anywhere, it's just to represent
flex and come back
this country and come back.
Because I have a lot of people telling me, dude, you should leave the country. I'm like, where is home? There's no home homer than home.
Yeah. I guess it's because of maybe sanity, maybe structure, maybe because we thrive in some of the most adverse circumstances, and then when we go elsewhere where things are a little bit more organized, we just fly.
Yeah.
So technically, in a country of superheroes, I'm talking to one right now as well. Now let's talk about your career.
Yes.
I mean, you have different hats in media and in movies, but so I'll be asking you how, and you can merge them. How did your foray into media begin, and then of course
into movies?
Yes.
It's a very funny story. So I had a friend. Unfortunately, she's late now. Passed on 2 years ago. God bless her soul. Her name was Aza. We used to hang out a lot, and we were having a conversation one day, and she goes, "You should be on radio, right?" And
those conversations that always come like
play. Yeah, it's funny because when I was in school, I studied human anatomy.
Okay.
Right? Human anatomy.
Interesting.
And the whole plan my mother had, because I grew up with my mom, her whole plan was she should have a doctor as a son. I also was interested in being a doctor from childhood because I loved to watch videos of surgeries and all of that. Imagine a 7-year-old boy, everybody's rushing to watch cartoons. I'm rushing to watch surgeries. And it so happened to be that quota system, etc., playfulness as well, they didn't allow me get the MBBS. No, I'm not going to lie. I carry last for class. Right? I write YA.
And that is not in any way that you're carrying last in life. That's the funny thing about we've been playing well.
As in, bro, I wrote so much YA. YA sent me a t-shirt. I love YA.
They asked you why. Why the heck?
And then when I served, unfortunately my mom passed just 2 or 3 weeks before my passing out. So for me, that pressure of be a doctor sort of lifted. And whilst in school, I already had a lot of people telling me what you're studying is not what you're going to do based on the characteristics we see you portray.
Yeah.
And when I got out of it, I sort of wanted to do the regular 9 to 5. You get my friend was a core member in a bank, and I thought, hey, I also should be a person in a bank, and so on and so forth. But when I came out, I ended up in the National Hospital, right? Then my friend, we met, and she told me you should try radio, and introduced me to a couple of people on another radio station, whose name I will not mention right now. Another radio station, and I was fascinated from the very first moment I walked into the radio station. I was fascinated, the studio, the setup. Because when you're listening to radio on the other side, you'll be thinking, is it not just talk they are talking?
Mm-hmm.
Then you now enter and find out that there are like 300 million computers and buttons for you to. And for me, it was
Yeah.
really fascinating to see people, multitask that much
Multitasking.
and give you that much information and fun at the same time. And it just sort of kicked up from there. Now,
What year was this? Sorry.
this was 2010.
Okay.
2010.
Wow. So we're counting.
Yes, we're counting. And the most interesting thing is the first time I went on air was to critique movies.
Mm.
Right? So I was invited over to the place. Oh no, it was not to critique movies, it was actually an overnight show.
Oh, overnight. I did that.
I was willing and ready to do it. Like I was going to lose sleep just to do this thing that fascinated me.
Yeah.
So I did that for a few days, and then the person who was doing the daytime show heard me and said, "Why don't you come over to my show?"
Mm.
And then we critiqued movies, and from there it just
Started.
I spent so much time freelancing, doing movies. From movies, graduated to other things. Started learning how to, read infomercials. Started learning how to produce. Started learning how to, pretty much radio media, a lot of radio media. And from there, it took another, as funny as it sounds, it took another 6-7 years to get a full job.
Actually. So you got some instant hands-on training that
Exactly.
built you
Exactly.
while you were in the system,
Exactly.
but before you now got on board. So
Yes.
now, interestingly, when you got on radio, that you were fascinated about it,
Yeah,
it was to critique movies.
Yes.
So that means that you're a movie buff.
I am.
So did you have this? Okay, let me not start sharing common how me too I like movie.
How I Met Your
How
Mother.
how did you? So since you love movies and you were critiquing movies, how did you now get into
movies?
Yeah.
Another funny story.
Tell me.
Story.
Us.
Once upon
Story.
a time.
Time. You're a storyteller. So
So from critiquing movies, I found myself in the media space fully. And then when I finally got a job, about 2 years into having the job, it so happened to be that my company's country director is also into movies.
Interesting.
So he was a producer, assistant producer in a film. I'm going to call the name of the film if you don't mind. Drawing Strength.
Drawing Strength.
Yes.
Okay.
Drawing Strength. Yes. Made by Dimbo Atia, the guy who made Sons of the Caliphate and all that. So he made it, and my boss says, "Oh, get ready to interview XYZ person." Now it was fascinating to me because whilst on the movie show, now that I work in that place, whilst on the movie show, we used to get a lot of comments from Dimbo Atia telling us, "I like what you guys do. There really isn't any critiquing platform that has this kind of space that you have that puts producers on their toes." I mean, we're talking about critiquing people as big as
Zeb
is quite big, yes. But I'm talking of people who are really big these days, and they've sent us messages telling us that they will flog us for being so real with critiquing them. I don't want to mention names right now for the sake of let them not come and sue me. Amen. So he normally would reach out to us, and then we invited him one time. That was before my boss now said interview him. So we invited him on the show. We just cracking up and having fun and laughing. And then we playfully said, that's we, the crew, playfully said, Oga, we did do Waka Paso.
Ha! Remember me in your government.
Remember us in your government. Because whilst we were saying it, it was a joke. For me, it was a joke, number one. But number two was also, they say inside plane, how they talk.
Element of truth, they joke now.
Just
they can't say, come and Waka Pass.
I will. The kind of Waka Pass I will Waka Pass. If you look at me, I'm an atmospheric human being. I am big. So if I Waka Pass, you will see that I walked back.
Exactly.
And he laughed about it. And then when it was now time for him to come for this interview that was fixed up by my boss, he came in with Daniel F. Young and Sharon Uja and then his wife. And we had the interview and it was wild fun. And when we went off air, the wife goes, why have you not considered acting before? You're a very funny person. You're a very lively person. And then just like that, I just screamed, "Okay, Shebi, I told you I can do Waka Pass." And then he looked at me and laughed and said, "Don't worry, I will give you something to do."
Yeah.
And for me, I thought it was just
let it rest for now.
You understand? Don't worry. Yeah. Now, this is me who had done stage plays in church, in school. So it wasn't like any major thing We just come, imagine that there's stuff and do it and go. Like we didn't even used to speak. It was
Right.
just, act and all of that. I didn't think I was worthy of it, but take give or take 6 weeks after that interview, I
Mm.
get a call from him saying, "Come to my office." And then I
Mm.
went to his office. And as I went to his office, in my mind, it was maybe he wanted to communicate about another interview or something. And
Mm.
as I sat, he
Mm.
handed me a script
Mm.
and said, "This script, I need you to read so part.
Mm.
Go and memorize it and come back." So me, I was about to leave. He said, "No, no, no, go and memorize it now. Because I'm going to
Wow.
ask you, or rather, I'm
So
going to act with you." And my heart left my chest and was in my mouth
I
because
can
I was
imagine.
afraid.
Hmm.
Because at that point in time, you begin to ask yourself, who
Who
sent
sent
me
you?
work?
You don't dey ask for him
You
now.
understand?
Here it
Now,
is.
this is it. Am I about to mess myself up?
Mm.
So I went out, memorized, came back. He had this that's the largest TV screen I've seen in my life, really large screen in his office. And so I sat and backed the screen. And then he said, "Give me the script." And then he started the conversation. And I responded. The first line, and he goes, "Stop. You're the person we're looking for."
Hmm.
And that was how it started. So met with the producer and everything, and that was how I got the role of Balamiola on Africa Magic's very own The Rishantes,
The
which is
Rishantes
which is a spin-off of Halita.
of Halita.
So I played
Okay.
the role of Balamiola, and that's how it came to be.
Hmm.
And that's how it
Okay.
started basically.
Okay.
Mm.
Interesting stuff. So we'll get to the Milio or Miolas, whether the mullahs added. But let's talk about now in terms of so what would you say is your purpose in terms of, because that's really key. You've touched on media, you touched on movies.
Mm.
How do you feel like it helps you fulfill what you're here to do?
So I'm a communicator,
Okay.
right? Like I already mentioned, I'm a
Mm.
storyteller, and
Mm-hmm.
there's always a training ground to get to the point where you're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since I was a child, I've been fascinated with sounds, right?
Mm.
I used to mimic sounds as a child: a car driving by, a horse neighing, a chicken,
Okay.
I always loved to mimic sounds. I could just sit and be like, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh my god, the car just sped by," just that was how I
Imagine
used
that.
to play.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I began to, how you just daydream. And
Mm.
I would daydream and see myself standing on stage talking to thousands of
Of
people.
people.
Thousands. Thousands. Daydream that I saw myself standing on a mountain and I was looking out a city so large. Like, imagine you bring New York City, like 20 of them.
Wow.
Like, and I'm, and then I see somebody next to me and saying, "I've given you this." Do you understand? So it was all, I know that I'm supposed to communicate with people. I'm supposed to communicate with people. And finding myself in media and
Mm.
also at the same time in movies, I now realize that I have been given a power of influence,
Right.
right? And how do I influence the society I live in?
Mm.
That is why I am where I am.
Mm.
If I want to contribute to my own quota,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to look back when time has gone and say, "Oh, this change that happened in society, or this thing that happened in society, in our life as a nation or as a people,
Yeah.
as whatever you believe in and all of that, I was able to play this little minuscule role in
Balamiyola,
ensuring."
eh?
Yes, Balamiola.
Mm.
I played this minuscule role
Yeah.
in this thing. As Balamiola, I played the role of a loyal person,
Okay.
come hail or high water,
Mm.
whether it was as an executive,
Mm.
as a media, sorry, as a financial, excuse me, as a financial executive,
Yeah.
or as a person who found love with a woman who had been widowed. Either ways, it was an influence of positivity that I was
Mm.
able to play. Then, whilst doing the Rishantes towards the end, Dimbo Atia, I will always say thank you to that man because he
Mm.
was the one
Shout
that
out to Dimba
he
here
was the
though.
one that let me know
We
that
dey do waka pass too. Let me just shift that in. Maybe
he
my
was the
own
one that
story
let me
too.
know that you should take
We like
this
that.
more serious because I think you're quite good. For me, normally, I think I have this issue when people commend me. I think it's just you trying to wash me.
Mm.
You get. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is an inferiority complex thing, but I
You
always
think it's
feel,
flattery?
yeah, I always feel like imposter syndrome. I used to suffer from
Mm.
imposter syndrome
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
So he
But you know
walks.
that it's not all like that. There's probably
I
some
am
genuineness.
learning. I am
Yeah.
learning to
I
appreciate
appreciate
people
that.
for what they say. And whilst we were, shooting the final day of the Rishantes, he walks up to me, looks at me, and says, "Can you leave your beard to grow out?" And I'm like, "Yes." He says, "Imagining me wearing eye pencil on my eye, like
Mm. Zero kind of
tiro on
thing.
my eye, he thinks I'll play a very good bad guy.
Hmm.
I remember I'm like, okay, this is going to be challenging acting range. All right, let's see what he's talking about. 2 months later, I'm on my show, and then he sends me a script, and I thought he just wanted me to,
Read
run
it.
through the script.
Uh,
And so I ran through the script, and the first person I saw, the first main character I saw, I was like, who be this guy? I was already thinking, this guy should be played like this kind of thing, because he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
The average Nigerian bad guy, you always see them in maybe suits or dark
Yeah,
shades,
exactly.
or always smoking a cigar or
Yeah.
something. But I was looking at this guy and I was like, this person does not need to be a noisy,
Yeah.
he can be a very cool, calm, collected, but very deadly individual and everything and everything. And then I sent my observations to him like, man, this person, I think this person should be like this. I think this scene should be like this. He now sends LOL, then sends me the character Bible. And I run through the character Bible, and on page 10, I saw my face there, and I saw the character Sambisa. I was like, wait, this same character that I had seen that caught my interest is the same person that they want me to play. And that was how my biggest role till date, which is Sambisa on Wrath and Revenge, Sons of the Caliphate, which is on Netflix, exactly, came to be. And so through that character, I believe I was also able to display that everybody is influenced by something, right? And as long as you're able to master it or not master it,
right,
you either become ahead of it or you're a slave to it. So for Sambisa, he's a slave to money and is willing to kill for that.
For it.
So it is influence for me. It is influence.
Interesting stuff. It's funny how Sambisa Forest is where a lot of killing happens, a lot of
all of that,
ransom, and all of that happens.
As a matter of fact, a lot of people have reached out to me and said, how do you know that this is what's been happening in the north? Because a lot of the banditry that we see is based on mining.
And these things are beginning to come to the fore now. We're going to find out that even some external,
I mean, you have the Zamfara state governor accusing the former Zamfara state governor, who is presently the Minister of Defense state, saying you people should look at this man. So a lot of people are like, how did you people have we did not have any info. It's funny. It's funny that it was just an inspired story. Somebody was just telling a story as a spin-off from another story.
Of course, the things we consume, the information and all that has a role. Our knowledge of what's happening around us has a role to play in all of this. So it's interesting to find out these connections. And big ups to you on that role.
Thank you.
I mean, it gave you this larger than life persona. You owned it, and we're looking forward to more of that and your influence. Shout out to Ibrahim from Airport Road. It says, interesting guy you've got in the studio. Interesting conversation, enjoying the show. Thank you, Ibrahim. I mean,
thank you, Ibrahim.
That's it. So moving on now, we can't take away our childhood from our adulthood and our creativity. So what's your favorite childhood memory, and how does it impact
creating worlds?
Creating worlds.
Yes.
So you didn't just create sounds. This man, you begin to create.
I created
what kind of thing is this?
I created worlds. I was the guy who would tie. Hey God, you know those horse wrappers that my mother. Those wrappers that have horses. I tied around my neck, and imagine I could fly.
Okay. Super fly
and everything. I even twisted my ankle in the process.
My brother.
Jumping from balcony. This guy is super boom.
He don't cast.
You understand? Created a world where I was a police officer always trying to catch thieves. I created worlds. I loved to draw as a child. So in as much as I had a mother who always wanted a doctor, my proclivities lay towards creativity.
Okay.
Towards creativity.
I like how that sounds. Proclivity. Lay towards creativity.
You know what I'm talking about? I used to be a rapper.
And the continuity.
I used to be a rapper as well.
Infinity.
Don't let me start.
My brother, we can relate to these things. Continue.
My childhood, I showed all those signs, but for my mother being the average African parent, she was pretty much against a lot of it. You understand?
Nigerian mothers. Shout out to We Hail Thee.
I wanted to be a DJ at one time. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a producer. You're talking about in the early to mid 2000s when a lot of people thought music was for riffraffs and all of that. I already got myself a software, FL3 at the time, Fruity Loops 3 at the time. I learned how to produce music myself. My mother heard the music and she was like, who did this? And I was like, it was me. And then she stopped dancing, like, what do you mean? Is this what you want to do with your life? I said,
Imagine.
but you danced, you still don't. That was when you had people like Timmy the Black One who came out with "We don't get money for Jesus, now
Yeah,
Flash with a Flash,"
Flash,
and all of that. And I went to
$20
school,
for rolling
exactly. I
it.
went to school and came back, and she goes, because by this time we had moved out, because I was born in Lagos, moved out of Lagos, went around the country, came back to Lagos. By then things had changed, and
Yeah.
young boys were beginning to work hard and
Yes.
make their money off of the entertainment industry. And
Yeah.
she happened to be a director at an officer's mess, and so she saw people come in, perform, get paid, and go. And she was like,
Wait, so
when you come first, I was like, ma, you see, you produce better music than most of these
some of
guys,
these,
and I've heard you rap before, and you rap better than these guys. I'm like, what are you trying to say? She said, won't you consider? I say, no, that's cool. You said I must go. I will go, because in her mind, her thought was, you can't do this
and
and
go
go
to
to
school.
school. Meanwhile,
To distract you. Yeah.
in school, I now became one of the most sought after MCs as far
Hmm.
event compares.
Nice.
So many a times she would call me and say, "Are you broke?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "What do you mean?" I said, I just finished from an event. That time they pay you 3K for your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
boss.
yeah, mate. Yeah, hello, sir.
That time when
What can
the
3K buy
naira
for you
was,
now?
my
Can
brother.
can 3K buy you a bottle of water?
Yeah,
No.
I mean,
You get.
if you want
So
to eat well, we use 3K.
exactly. We'll go to Malam Irimaya and buy
Mm.
noodles and eggs.
Yeah.
So she was sort of impressed that I
Mm.
could do that.
Yeah.
MC events, make my
Make
money off
money.
of it, not stress her too much for money and all of that. And I mean, to the point where my cousin was getting married and she shipped me all the way from Maiduguri down to Lagos to come and
To
MC his
MC
wedding.
that
She was now
amazing.
becoming proud of, oh, my son is doing these things. But by then, the dream to be a rapper had died. The dream to be a musician had died. The dream to
How
produce
so?
music had died.
How come?
So I think I just didn't pursue it.
Okay.
I was the guy who was influenced by rappers like Bone Thugs and Harmony, rappers like Twister, rappers like Tech Nine,
The
those
fast
tongue twist.
monosyllabic
So
tongue
we would
twisting.
sit down in school and
Yeah.
I'm walking by, people be shouting Twister, Twister. Do you understand? Because
Imagine.
I
Yeah,
would.
you used
That
to
was the
rap
kind of
like that was your
person I
style.
was.
Yeah.
You get. But after a while, my mother was like, leave it alone. This woman wants a doctor. Give her a doctor. You get. So sometimes I always laugh because unfortunately she passed on in 2010. Sometimes I always laugh. If she was alive today, what would she say? Do you understand?
Exactly.
Because this is the son you always wanted to be a doctor, and today he's a media personality / actor.
She did a great job. She was not closed-minded, and
Nah, she
that's
wasn't.
shout out to your
She
mom
wasn't.
with blessed
She wasn't.
memory.
Amen.
Because she now started to see
Yes.
the business side, the creative
Yes.
side, how you could
Yes.
translate, and she was not saying,
Yes.
"Okay, come and
Yes.
MC, come on."
Yes.
So I think she would be proud, and I think she would be proud
So it's from creating my
about
worlds
that.
and all of that. I found myself. It pretty much influenced the way I see life.
Mm,
Where I see life, I always try to see the positives.
mm,
I can be very cynical. I can be very sarcastic,
mm.
but I still see the positives.
The
Positives in
positive
everything.
in
Yeah.
life. Very, very interesting. In case you're just joining me, this is Life Nuggets with Eteks, and I've got Daniel Okosun. Magnus is on WhatsApp saying, I believe is the big one of our colleague media houses you've been speaking with. Yes, well done work. Thank you, Magnus. Well done. Clap for yourself. You passed the exam. Yes, but we're speaking to him in his capacity as an actor, as a creator, producer, and it's amazing talking with Daniel Okosun right here in the studio.
Thank you.
If you got questions, you can send them to WhatsApp 0909 6975 943, or you can call 0902 199 9943. Now, there's so much that I'm going to talk about, but what's been the greatest challenge? Because when you said you talked about music and you left it off, there's so much going on in the music industry, there's so much going on in the movie industry, which I don't know if it doesn't dovetail from Hollywood to Nollywood. There's so many aspects.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear this side. You're saying, okay, the influence, you just got it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all rosy, if it's just like that, or there are aspects that you've had to tiptoe around. You've had to like, okay, namaste. And then, the role that you got, the first role, it ended up, it was like Providence. You didn't have a say in it, that you were given the role.
Happened, yeah.
So I want to know, first of all, do you choose and pick, like, do you select certain roles based on, your person, based on certain principles for you? Do you select roles? And what's been the greatest challenge you faced so far in this field of media movies? I think it's still the same entertainment or creative industry at the end of the day.
Yeah. So challenges abound, right? I believe every single thing you do is a challenge. Even the thing you think is easy is really difficult for somebody. For
Mm-hmm.
example, we have a quiet person in the studio right now.
Mm.
He's great at social media. He's
Yes.
great at
That's
taking
Anthony
videos.
Diesel guy
He's
behind the scenes.
great.
And he doesn't want you to see him actually. So
Exactly.
just yeah.
Tell him to come and sit down on the
It
microphone.
is
It's a problem. You understand? And vice versa. You
mm,
understand? Those things have a reason every now and then. If we're going to talk about the media, I would say, thankfully, I've been able to weather very, very, very many storms. Very
hmm.
many storms. Um, I remember at one time, I'm blessed to be in charge of the station I'm with now, and
Awesome. Awesome.
I
Awesome.
remember.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
From one in charge to another in charge. My bro, my
My
G.
G, my
My G.
G.
We leading.
It is what it is, bro. It is what
Influence.
it is. Influence. I remember where there was a major drop off. When we,
Mm.
when I mentioned, you know what I mean by
Yes.
drop off exactly.
You know I started with AIM, right?
Are you
I
serious?
started with Nigeria Info Port Harcourt
Oh
in
yeah,
2015.
that's true.
So
That's
I'm
true. That's
I'm
true.
quite
Yeah, you
you know
understand. You understand.
aware.
So there was a major drop off, and I got some comments that. So this is how crazy it is. I'm the kind of person who will tell you always try to see the positives in things and
Mm.
everything. And on that day when I got that comment, I felt so bad. I felt sick.
Hmm.
Do you understand? And I immediately, because I'm a person who's a staunch believer in God through
Hmm.
Jesus Christ,
Hmm.
and I just felt this chastening in my heart, like,
Hmm.
aren't you the one that encourages people?
Yeah.
Number one, number two. So this job now is your God, Abby.
Hmm.
I was like, man, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Then I remember the scripture where it says, confess your sins one to another. Because for
Hmm.
me, it was, I just committed a sin. I
Yeah.
already made this
Yeah.
job my God. It's not possible. I
Yeah.
continue. So I immediately hollered at my friends who I always encourage, like, man, guys, those things I used to tell you guys to do, I have failed. Forgive me.
Hmm.
And almost immediately, I just knew what to do
Right.
and followed through. And thankfully, even superseded where we were before. For me,
Hmm.
that was a challenge. Trying to get my team
Hmm.
from being in a place where we didn't consider to be a good thing
Right.
to a place where we consider to be at least a better thing than what we were before, even though we are not yet where we
You
want
want to
to be.
be awesome.
So it is always a challenge trying to ensure that everything works properly whilst you are facing your own issues.
Tell me about it.
When you
uh,
are facing your own issues, because
issues.
a lot of people hear you on radio and think, oh my God, you've got it all on check.
Yeah, I hear you on the radio,
Like,
man. Ah, what's up? They're expecting to see all the other
do
things
you
that come with it.
understand?
House, car,
Good,
this
good,
one, deals.
good example was a couple of days ago, and one of my colleagues asks me a question: which one is true and which one is false? And I said, let me ask you my own true or false question. I am broke and I'm hungry. Which one is true and which one is false? And he goes, it's like both are true.
One, they answer one.
And then I got like 2 or 3 messages saying, you broke. I no matter like we face those
That's
challenges.
yes,
There is a
yes.
public perception of something that we really are not
Hmm.
many a times, and people expect a lot of things from you
Right.
that sometimes you just see there's you can't meet up with it, and then you're just not bothered to even meet up with it.
That is the part that I like to hear, where you don't feel pressured to, because that's one thing that gets people down, that can kill people, being
Exactly.
pressured to meet up to certain expectations.
Exactly.
When this is what you're doing, this is what it is.
Exactly.
You can be working hard at the business side or at turning your
Exactly.
creativity into profit, but
Exactly.
at the time you're not pressured to be who you're not.
So for me, if I was going to say anything was a challenge, then it was how to manage my time.
Yeah.
At a
Okay.
time, it was how to manage my time. But now I think I've been able to master that, which is
Okay.
why I'm able to, go out and shoot at the same
Hmm.
time, still go and do my work at the same time, still manage a station
Hmm.
at the same time, still create content for said station and other stations at the same time, do a lot of things at the same time. There are days where once I leave the studio, there's nothing you want to do. I will not come out of my apartment.
Hmm.
I will go home.
Hmm.
I will crash. I will watch film.
You have to refresh.
Exactly. Then there are days where I don't even want to be home. I know I need to get this done. I need to do this. I need to do this. You understand? So it
Hmm.
just managing time was a challenge for me. In the movie
Hmm.
industry,
Yeah.
I would say I have I really faced any major challenge? No. Not
Okay. Wow,
yet.
that's great to know.
Not yet, because first and foremost, I try as much as possible to live at peace with all people. right?
Mm.
Number two, if you're going to bring a role to me to check out, I will look at this person. Am I excited about this person? Right? If I'm excited, just like I told you about
Mm.
Sambisa,
Mm.
if I'm excited about that person, I'm going to give it my all. If I'm not
Mm.
excited about the person, I will tell you, I'm not really feeling this character, but I
Mm.
will try my best.
Mm.
You get? I've been in movie sets. I've been blessed to be in movie sets where everybody is chill.
Mm.
Every single person is chill. I mean, from the Moffat Duncans to
Yeah.
the Rahama Sadaus to the Kalu
Raham
Igwe's,
Sadao.
Kalus, and to
Mm.
the all of them. They are
Yeah.
like, so a lot of people think that they are snobbish, but I met them and they were quite awesome people.
Yeah.
So it was easy to blend in with them. Try as much as possible as much as you're blending with the main guys, also blending with the guys on the on the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Make everybody feel like we're all humans. We're all together on this one. So
Mm.
thankfully,
Interesting.
thus far, it hasn't been a challenge to the point where I want to kill myself. No.
Amazing stuff. I'm glad about that. Now I want to just piggyback to what you said about managing, the station, managing time.
Hmm.
How? Is there any formula? How have you been able to do this?
So my shows are in the morning.
Okay.
Early in the morning, I'm on air from 5 to about 9 a.m. Then after
Okay,
that,
five to
I
nine. Okay.
have
The
the rest
rest.
of my day to plan properly.
Mm.
Now, the beauty about the world that we live in today is that you can do your work from anywhere, right?
But can you do your show from anywhere?
Well, that's why I say my show, I'm in the studio.
After your show,
After my
okay.
show, you get
Because by the time you can do your show from anywhere,
from
that
anywhere.
means
I don't need to go
yeah.
to work. I'm working
You don't
remote
create your show.
work. You understand? Wealth creation from home.
Mm.
You get, but yeah. After that, I'm able to now plan. Okay, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go for that, while still having my devices at hand
Mm-hmm.
in case there's a need to communicate and make sure that things happen.
Mm.
If there's going to be a meeting, we can always do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
Do I have to be there? If I don't have to be there, we do it on Zoom. If I have to be there, I'll take permission from set, or I'm going to be at set a little late so you can shoot other scenes that doesn't have me on it and all of that. You
Yeah.
just have to be able to, you just have to know how to manage it, basically.
All right. All right. All right. So just being aware of your timing,
Yeah,
making the best use of your time,
be
and
very
doing
aware.
what you need to do. Amazing stuff. Because if you're listening, I'm sure you're learning a lot. Magnus, hope you're learning. Say, well done, work. Yes, well done too. All right. All right. All right. So now, when it comes to your career, what's been I think maybe am I correct to say that the role of Sambisa has been the highlight, or is there any other thing that you can say has been the highlight? I wanted to ask that, but
Thus far,
as I
thus
ask,
far,
mm,
Sambisa.
Sambisa.
Thus far,
Mm,
Sambisa.
mm,
My roles are still in my mind. They're still few and far
far
between.
between.
But
Okay.
Sambisa literally threw me out there. I know the messages from people that I got.
There you
I
go.
know people that I consider celebrities see me and going, guy, like, wait, what happened? Man, I enjoyed you on that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, Funny Bone was in town. Which day was it? I walked out of the studio like,
Yeah.
Papa, like, guy, what you did for Abuja? Come Lagos, come. I'm like,
Uh,
okay.
we
Because,
can't all be in Lagos.
exactly, because he's a Kaduna boy who moved to
Okay.
Lagos and he was trying to tell me, oh, Baba, you should move to Lagos. I
Mm,
had people sending me messages in my
mm,
DMs from the Michelle Day days to
mm,
the chick girls, all of them, like, man, when you read. So
Chigo.
that was
Shout
that
out
was
to Chigo.
basically what put me
What
out there.
puts you
Yeah,
up there?
but yeah, that's it. Highlight
Yeah.
for now.
Okay. Amazing stuff. What did I want to ask you? Now, speaking of media,
Mm.
okay, I wanted to ask you, has all of this translated? How has it translated to the quality of your life? How has it translated to the miola? Abi the mula?
Baba, you're speaking long English.
Abi?
Mention it
Did it bring money?
if I answer you now, a lot of people like this guy is lying.
And that's what we face.
Yeah.
Where you're saying, bro, Alpha, man, I don't need to stress you right now, but like, I don't know if you go fit.
If I
like,
mention it now, a lot of people will say
you're
you're
like,
lying.
bro, no, they want me.
But let's just say I still cry out for urgent 2K every now.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Well, I don't let it get me down because in my mind I am just starting.
That's where you don't get the pressure on, because sometimes the pressure that even gets, oh, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm the
Yes.
head of a station. I'm supposed to
yeah.
be like. Of course, you should be striving to succeed,
Yeah.
turning your passion, your creativity to
Yes,
profit.
yes.
However, you keep moving.
There's also the place where a lot of people do not realize that Abuja itself is not a commercial hub. Abuja itself is more of a civil service hub.
It's the capital.
It's the capital of the city. So
Government.
most of the companies that would have done these endorsements and all of
Endorsements
that
and all.
don't hear you regularly.
That's why Funny Boy was saying come to Lagos.
Exactly. They don't hear you regularly. They hear the guys over there in Lagos. And I'm going to say this straight. If you take 95% of the people who do radio in Abuja,
right,
and take them to Lagos,
Like,
and move the people from
switch up.
Lagos and take them here, nobody will remember the people from Lagos. Here's why I say so. More than, if we say 10 people come around from Lagos, more than 8 say they enjoyed their interviews with Abuja OAPs
right,
more than they do with those in Lagos.
And that's from them saying
That's
that.
from
That's
them. That's not us.
not just
saying
just saying it or
That's from
trying to
them.
put down anybody.
You get? So you have a lot of people who work with passion here. You have a lot of people who work with passion there as well. But then there's that thing of comfort zone. Broadcasting in Abuja is not a comfort zone thing. Don't let anybody run you streets. It's not a comfort zone thing at all.
You have the standard of living, you have the life.
Yeah.
And you have to still represent and deliver. Magnus says, I'm listening and keeping up with things. He's really into a lot, just getting to know more about him. He's really a great man. Big ups to him. I like he does say to individuals. So Magnus is telling you big ups to you, like you say to individuals. Amazing. So thank you, Magnus. And you can tell that this is an interesting conversation. Now, what would you say can be done to improve the media industry? Because I think I was at a recent BBC meeting, and they're talking about the media ecosystem, and people could not take away the fact that media generally has so many challenges, from remuneration to how they're treated to how their interest and their role, agenda setting, watchdog, making sure that government is on their toes as a fourth estate on the realm, conflicting with the government of the day's interest also kind of, should I say, muzzles them, or just keeps you. So what can you say can be done to improve our own media ecosystem?
You see, everything you just said was pretty much the major thing that muzzles us, right? I don't think media is as free as it should be.
Okay.
Right? There's quite a bit of the leash is quite tight. You understand? Funding is another major issue. Funding is a major issue for anyone, anywhere. Presently, the price of petrol, the price of diesel.
It keeps changing. What's it now right now?
The average listener does not know what happens when the mic is off. There are a lot of things that run. There is
fuel, diesel,
the electricity bills to be paid, the salaries to be paid. FYI, the voices here on radio are not the only people who are employed to a radio station. There are different departments. Exactly. So the major thing, if not the only thing that a radio station works with to earn money, is through airtime. Right? Once we're able to sell airtime, then we're able to keep up. You have quite a number of people who go into the project of owning media companies and not understanding what media entails.
Right.
At all. For them, it's just, let's create another cash cow to make money. But it doesn't work that way. If you're coming into media with the intention to just make money, get ready to be patient. Get ready to be
and
patient.
Invest in that venture.
You will throw money into that venture. It will take a while before that thing will actually now become as. And even at that, it's going to take a while for it to, not even take a while, you're going to need to continually make those sacrifices to ensure that it stays afloat. Because
that's for sure.
Each single day, the economy in Nigeria is just giving you every reasons to give up. But we keep pushing every day. Major challenge, funding. Major challenge, watchdogs, governing bodies that, ensure, because there are some times that some people feel that they are being victimized by certain watchdogs in the country. I'm not going to mention names, but that is what they feel. Well, somebody might say the word watchdog is too much. Okay, let's use the word censorship bodies, right? That ensure that things go. Big ups to them. They're doing their jobs. Makes you remember, I think it was Rwanda 1994, where the genocide started from a radio broadcast. People kept saying nonsense on radio. And before you know anything, I understand where they're coming from. But then there are some people who feel as though. Then there's also the challenge of the average listener who wants you to be biased in your communication. So by bias, I mean they want you to always say
Favor.
favor them
Yes.
and not realize that you have to present a balanced ground for
Yes.
people to communicate. So when they come on air and they begin to get insulted, you're like, okay, calm down, cool. You let them go or they end their calls, begin to see messages from left, right, center. Allow them speak the truth. Let them speak the truth. And you
Hmm.
can say your truth, but say it respectfully if possible. Let's have a proper dialogue between both parties.
Hmm.
These are just some of the challenges.
Certainly, with these few points of his, where he has said some of the things I said, and it's what he said. The challenges. So we're still having a great conversation, gradually winding down on life nuggets with the takes right here with Daniel Okosun. All right, doing justice to what we navigate and how we navigate media, the movie space, the creative industry. I want to know what you would advise anyone who wants to do what you're doing right now.
Be committed,
Hmm.
be dedicated, be ready to work every bone of your body off. Be good at more than one thing if you find yourself in media. If it is electronic media, be good at pretty much everything as much as possible. If it is on TV, be good at writing a script, be good at shooting a camera, be good at editing a video, be good at editing audio, be good at, did I mention scripting? Be good at reading
Yeah, writing a script, you
news.
said so.
If it's going to be on radio, be good at doing all of those things as well. Be good at social media because at the end of the day, you will also have stuff that you can help with. And when it now happens to be that there's just one social media guy and there's so many things to do, you can always help them out. Be good at everything. There is no knowledge that is not power, in the words of Shao Kahn. There is no
Finish
knowledge. There's no knowledge that is not power.
Mm-hmm.
Every single bit of knowledge that you can get it. Nothing is wasted.
Nothing.
Spend a lot of time on YouTube. YouTube is like the best resource for gathering knowledge right now.
Right now.
Spend a lot of time there. You will learn a lot of things. You get. And don't be afraid to work. Don't be afraid to fail. If you're going to do radio, you're going to make a lot of errors when you're on air. Do not for a moment
stop and get caught up with that.
See, laugh at yourself a lot. Laugh at yourself a lot. Be ready to be lenient on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Life is already hard enough.
Wow. Now, I was going to say share some of your life nuggets, but I don't know if you haven't shared them already. I don't know.
Okay. Number one. This is not even life nugget. This is like the entire existence. God. The entire existence. God. Just put your trust and your faith in him. Everything else that you do should stem from there. Number one, God. Number two, I'm looking for that one word that will explain everything about be human. By being human, what I mean is be ready to make mistakes. Be ready to understand that failure is not the end. Failure is just another stepping stone. Failure is just, this is how not to do it.
Yeah.
Next time I'll try something else.
Ask is it Michael Faraday? Ask Thomas Edison. They'll let you know.
Like 999 times they failed and they got it to one time. Then number three, have fun.
I like that part.
Don't hesitate to have fun. Right? And by have fun, a lot of you think I'm talking about drink. No.
Exactly.
Like I told you, from childhood, I always created worlds in my head. So be more creative with your having fun, and trust me, more creativity. As I'm speaking to you, I've had years when people told me you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. You and I even have started a podcast.
Yeah, we have. You
should do a podcast.
Things.
And I kept thinking, how do I? What kind of what hasn't anybody said that I want to say? And then all of a sudden I realized, hey, I've been wanting to, because like I said, I write stories. I've wanted to turn my stories into multimedia. But bro, to shoot film in Nigeria today is not beans. If you don't have 80 to 150 million, forget it. I said I wanted to do animation. Yeah. If you don't have the millions, forget it. So I just reasoned, instead of all of that, why don't I turn it into a podcast? You get.
And then start from where you are, what you have. Maybe use your phone, shoot short things, little things.
Wow.
And it will build up from
I'm presently working on a series of podcasts, and it is not just come and gist. It's literally you seeing a movie without seeing a movie.
I did do Wakapaso.
So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that.
Amazing stuff. I've been here with my brother, my friend, movie, media, juggernaut, veteran, apprentice superhero,
Veteran.
Daniel. Yes, now we speak. You know how it is. We speak what we want to create. If you
Yeah,
look at
so-
it, if celebrities are saying, "Yeah, enjoy it on that," Baba, take it, take the flowers. I'm telling you. And it's been amazing talking with Daniel Okosun. Thank you so much for coming through, making out the time to do what you do with us.
Thank you for
And
having
big
me
ups on all the projects coming through.
Thank you.
All right. Any project that we can look forward to? This podcast you mentioned,
Yes.
does it have a name, or when you unfold it?
So, am I permitted to say the name here? Okay, I am. All right.
Mm.
Am I? Am I not? Am I? Am I? I am.
What's the name of the podcast?
Sorry, sir.
Series of podcasts.
Okay, so I'm doing one first, which is going to be like me testing the waters to see what
Okay.
it's like. That one is titled Rage.
Rage.
It's a
Okay.
story of a guy
Okay.
who lost his cool because his child was about to be abused by somebody who had abused somebody and murdered them already, and he had the evidence, and so on and so forth. So there's that one. It's going to be a short thing, not more than 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then the main series I'm about to create is called Pause. Is an interlocking story of different people at different points in a day. That met at a certain convergence, and then something wild happens from there.
Amazing stuff. Hopefully we'll continue to converge and not pause on that.
Nope.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, Eteks.
We'll keep living life intentionally, because life not get duplicate. It had to be different. It's life not get right here with Eteks. We're having all these kind of conversations with veterans, with legends, with people doing great things in different fields, learning from them, from their wisdom and from their experiences. Thank you so much.